Right. Welcome to Legal Investigations, where I'll be looking into all sorts of documents and talk about them, specifically like agreements, contracts, or any terms of service and such, which people online normally don't read and just ignore it. But yeah, we'll see if we can shine some light into this one, because there's something I would say I've actually glanced through and would like to talk about it. Quite literally, and there's nothing else in this agreement that's like worth mentioning other than that. So I'll quickly go through all the terms and conditions, but it's pretty heavy, it's pretty dry, so do bear in mind of that. Okay, and after that we'll talk about something else which is not really relevant, but yeah, it's still online, it's still legal stuff. All right, but before then, let's do this. All right, so we have a table of content, which is kind of like they're putting in like different clauses, labeling them to 1 to 12. But as I see it, they aren't really good at labeling or like sectioning their clauses. As you can see, it's all walls of texts, and a lot of it has like capitalized letters for the entire paragraph, and I hate it. I hate it when people do it in real life or in online documents. But yeah, let's see. Let's just read through the table of contents, what we would be expecting to go through. Registration as a subscriber, application of terms to you, your account, conclusion of agreements. So this is more or less a introduction of this agreement and how it applies to people and when it does. And there's licenses. The licenses is something that we'll look into, specifically look into only. Everything else, it's just for, I would say, for completion's sake, I will discuss them, I will explain them. But of course, you know, if let's say if any of you want to have any questions regarding this or anything else, because even though we are focusing on this, it's okay to go on a tangent, talk about something totally separate, right? This is not a serious thing that we're doing. It's more or less for education and entertainment only, right? So also probably we'll have to mention here and there that, you know, this is not legal advice or anything. It's just I'm just a former legal practitioner explaining certain things, hoping people will understand and they would eventually look into these things themselves, let them you know, try to encourage critical thinking, to have people in their own initiative fact check certain things, consider certain things that normally people don't ever think about. All those things. That's the purpose of legal investigations. It's not to give legal advice, but to give sort of like guidance for people to look into all this stuff, to understand all these things, to have a foundation of looking at all these things themselves, quite literally. I'm not trying to represent anyone, trying to give any legal advice to anyone. It's really you can just view me as some sort of like a semi lecturer or some sorts like that in this context, and also in all of my and anywhere you can find me. But yes, let's start. All right, first paragraph. This Steam subscriber agreement, quote unquote agreement, is a legal document that explains your rights and obligations as a subscriber of Steam from Valve Corporation, a corporation under laws of the state of Washington, with its registered office at 10400 NE, I have no idea what is NE, 4th Street, Bellevue, WA, I'm not sure what it is, Washington, I guess, 98004, United States, registered with the Washington Secretary of State under number 602290-773, bad ID number, blah blah. Okay, all these are like quote unquote Valve. All right, so we're dealing with Valve, all right? The company that we are agreeing between ourselves and themselves, and the other party is Valve's company. Please read carefully. Of course, we'll try at least. Why are you being sus, Melon? Section 11 contains a binding Alright, so we have no idea what being a subscriber means, but we'll probably know in a sec. Section 11 contains a binding arbitration agreement and a class action waiver. It affects how disputes are resolved. Please read it if you are a consumer and live in the province of Quebec, Canada, the European Union, or the United States. Section 11 does not apply to you. A registration as a subscriber, application of terms to you, your account, acceptance of agreements. Steam is an online service offered by Valve. You become a subscriber of Steam, quote unquote subscriber. So now we're gonna know what it means to be a subscriber by completing the registration of a Steam user account. Alright, so by just being a user, just being a registered user on Steam, we are considered subscribers. This agreement takes effect as soon as you indicate your acceptance of these terms. You may not become a subscriber if you are under the age of 13. Steam is not intended for children under 13, and Valve will not knowingly collect personal information from children under the age of 13. Additional age restrictions may apply in your country. Right, so obviously, I would say, so this doesn't say anything about parental guidance or having a guardian to accept these terms and conditions, but I would say it's implied. But then again, how do I say this? Why I'm saying it's implied? Because I'm pretty sure I'm considering whether contracting with a minor is legally binding in this situation. Depends on the laws of the countries, I would say, but not putting that might be a problem, might not be a problem. But you know, this is an agreement by Valve. I would say they have taken the necessary legal consultation as well, legal drafting by actual lawyers, before they publish this, or not publish this, they posted this on their website. So in any case, let's move on. So we know that a subscriber means someone that has registered an account and someone that is above 13 years old. Contracting party. For any interaction with Steam, your contractual relationship is with Valve, except as otherwise indicated here or at the time of the transaction, such as the case of purchases from other subscriber in a subscription marketplace. Any transactions for subscriptions as defined below you make on Steam are being made from Valve, right? So they are telling you anything that you do between Valve, anything that you do in Steam is considered to be doing it between Valve, unless it is specifically mentioned, such as it may be you're buying from another subscriber, you're buying from another Steam user in the so-called subscription marketplace. I don't know what this is exactly. Steam's subscription marketplace. I'm assuming something like buying mods? Now I can't say for certain until I like look it up on what this is exactly. But yeah, let's move on. Hardware subscriptions, content and services. As a subscriber, so I think this is a bit more useful. As a subscriber, you may obtain access to certain services, software, and content available to subscribers, or purchase certain hardware, as defined below on Steam. The Steam client software and any other software, content, and updates you download or access via Steam, including but not limited to Valve or third-party video games, and in-game content, software associated with hardware, and any virtual items you trade, sell, or purchase in the Steam subscription marketplace are referred to in this agreement as content and services. The rights to access and or use any content and services accessible through Steam are referred to in this agreement as subscriptions. So I would say the only important thing that we need to look from this is they refer the things that you get from Steam is Valve or third-party video games and in-game content. So this is something that we should... Oh, hello, I just woke... Hey, Brother Rain, welcome. Good afternoon. You woke up pretty late. I hope you had a good night. Have a good sleep though. Sure. I hope also, yeah. As you sleeping late is nothing to be concerned. Hopefully. But yeah. Glad for you to join in. We're talking about Steam's subscriber agreement. So yeah, we need to understand that they're telling us about this. All right, they're telling us as subscribers we get things, we download things like specifically Valve or third-party video games. So we get games from Steam. Is that what they're trying to say? They're called content services, right? So we're gonna see why this is relevant, why this is something I'm trying to emphasize in this agreement. They haven't talked about it yet. Its subscription allows you to access particular content and services. Some subscriptions may impose additional terms specific to that subscription. Subscription terms, for example, an end-user license agreement specific to a particular game, or terms of use specific to a particular product or feature of Steam. Right, so they are saying even if you bought a game from Steam, there are additional terms and conditions in the game itself, which of course, you know, can be found, I think, when you install the game. Sometimes the game itself, within the game itself, they will like pop up even a TOS in the game, and you have to agree to it before being able to play. So that's something that people have to look into as well, but I think most people don't. Anyhow, let's move on. Also, additional terms, for example, payment and billing procedures may be posted on or within Steam service rules of use. Rules of use include the Steam Online Conduct rules. Alright, so there is something like a community guidelines on Steam and a Steam refund policy. This one I've actually looked into because I have done refunds on some games. Specifically, I actually did a refund on Valheim. I played it less than 2 hours and then I was like, no, this game is not for me. I'm gonna do a refund. And luckily they refund me quite quickly. The subscription terms, the rules of use, and the Valve privacy policy are binding on you once you indicate your acceptance of them or of this agreement, or otherwise become bound by them as described in Section 8. Hold on. What? Why are you holding me up? Why is that? Oh, it's possible to... Yeah, I'm looking at my own emote getting squashed. I guess there's a feature Twitch can do. You refund Valheim? Shake my head. Yes. I said, I refunded Valheim. What's the problem? Are you gonna cancel me? Anyhow, let's continue. All right, there's just this. The entire paragraph is just telling you there are other legal documents that you need to follow. So we might read the rules of use on this, aka Steam's community guidelines, but we'll see. We'll see if it's something that's interesting. Of course, we haven't even gone through like a lot of these things here. But I would say this part of here, this entire thing, I will skip this. They're just talking about your account, how you should use your account, what you shouldn't do with your account, and such. Specifically, I will have to like always inform people, you know, almost every online document, every TOS says this. You may therefore not sell or charge others for the right to use your account or otherwise transfer your account, nor may you sell, charge others for the right to use or transfer any subscriptions other than event expressly permitted by this agreement. So a lot of people think that it's okay to, you know, transfer an account or sell an account, but that's something that you can't do. If it's found out you have been doing that, you could be banned, right? So I would say it's very relevant in Steam because a lot of people bought games via their account, and because maybe they are short of cash or something, they decided that, you know, it's okay for them to transfer the account to another person or sell the account to another person. And that is very, very dangerous in itself, even if it's just only a breach of contract. So what is wrong with your remixing my emotes? So that's one thing, right? That's like one thing that is you need to be careful of, because, you know, your account is has how do you say connected with, you probably registered your account with your email. You probably entered some personal information in your account. Whether, especially if you put in like very accurate details, your real name, maybe even your phone number or anything like that, people can access that, right? You have to think about it. People can access that. Even if, let's say, you tried, maybe there's like a safety feature, you can like change all of that before transferring the account. People can, you know, hackers is a thing. It's not a conspiracy, all right? Hackers are real. They can do things that we normal people would not be able to comprehend. I would say there's if Aiden is here, he probably can testify to that, because I heard he was a hacker. So yeah, that's one thing. The other thing that's very common with people is buying accounts. All right, if selling account is dangerous, buying accounts is dangerous as well, right? You will see a lot of like websites, online websites, like at least in Southeast Asia, websites like Lazada, Shopee, or anything like online shops, like maybe Amazon. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe they are much more regulated, but Amazon, eBay even probably sells Steam accounts, right? In a way to like sell cheap games. They have the game, because, you know, the thing with Steam is that they have some sort of like a region lock. Okay, they have some sort of like a region lock, so certain countries, when they buy the game, it's much cheaper. So when they sell it to you, they can sell it at a lower price, but the condition is you have to use their account, right? You have to use their account to play the game, because they can't transfer the game or like do something like in the legitimate way. So that's very dangerous as well, because, again, not just because the terms and conditions here says it's wrong, it's also dangerous because even if they gave you the account, gave you the password and everything, they might have a way to still use that account. They might still have a way to use that account for other stuff. They might still you log into your account, you might get scammed in one way or another. For example, maybe once they give you the password to your account, and then you use that account to buy things, they will just, if you didn't change the password, or maybe they have a way to access the account again, they'll just steal the account from you, back from you. Okay, that's a possibility. So you just gave people money for no reason. You just gave people money for nothing. And if you want to report them in the online website shops, it's futile. Just make another account, right? Problem with this online websites is that they are not regulated. They sell all sorts of things, whether it can be illegal, whether it's copyright infringement or not. It doesn't matter, right? For example, especially copyright stuff, you see all sorts of merchandise, game merchandise, anime merchandise being sold in these online shops. But they definitely don't have the rights for it. But they are very cheap. But they are very cheap. So yeah, it's something that people really don't think about, or like think there's any problem with. It's I would say even people even we're going off a tangent here, but conventions, right? Anime conventions and such, people if there's a place for people to put up booths, you see that a lot of people who are selling merchandise, they are selling, for example, Genshin Impact. That's the only thing I can think of. People who are selling Genshin Impact stuff. Did they get the license to do it? Right? Because most likely, what's Hoyoverse? Hoyoverse probably didn't give a license to them, and Hoyoverse is probably not getting a cut from all this merchandise being sold, right? But that's it, there are actual shops that sells Genshin Impact stuff, merchandise that are legit, I would say. I hope so. In physical shops, right? I've seen one in this is gonna slightly dox me, but then again, won't really reveal where I live. I'm just gonna say this. Big popular shopping malls. There's a popular shopping mall in Malaysia that specifically sells not just it's too fake, and I don't think that's correct as well. There's a lot of anime shops, anime/game shops that sells merchandise for people to buy, not just figurines, but actual merchandise like mouse pads, keychains, some sort of name card holders and all that weird stuff, even body pillows. Body pillows are sold in these shops. So I would say if you want to support legitimate business, those are the places you need to go, right? Anyhow, that's my opinion. That's my personal perspective. If you disagree, it's okay. Anyhow, let's move on. All right, let's go back to here. Acceptance of agreement. So this one I also have to just skip. This is basically telling you how do I say this? It's just telling you when is how do you say this? Whatever you do, right? Whatever you do that is involving in you're doing anything in Steam, it's considered like agreeing to the terms and conditions. Right over here it says your order through Steam is an offer to Valve to agree on the delivery of ordered subscriptions, content, and services, and all hardware in exchange for the listed price. When you place an order on Steam, we'll send you a message confirming receipt of your order and containing the details of your order. The order confirmation is acknowledgement that we have received your order and does not confirm acceptance of your offer to enter into an agreement. In the case of content services, we accept your offer and conclude the agreement with you by confirming the transaction and making the content and services available to you. In the case of pre-orders, only by confirming the transaction to you and deducting the applicable price from your payment method. So they're telling you Valve's obligation, right? Valve's promises and such to give you what you have paid for is only going to happen when the money has been received by them. As long as the money hasn't gone to them, right? Whatever order confirmation you have or anything is not like binding of sorts. It doesn't make it so that they have to give you the game if they haven't received the money, of course. But this is like common sense, or like it's being reasonable. I would say there's not nothing wrong about it. Okay, but anyhow, let's move on. Payment processing. Payment processing related to content and services and all hardware purchased on Steam is performed by either Valve Corporation directly or by Valve's fully owned subsidiary Valve blah blah blah. If your card was issued outside the United States, your payment blah 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 blah. So this is like telling you how payment is done. Okay, not really relevant. All right, license. This is something I need to talk about. Okay, so the entire first section is done. We move on to the I thought that was like, okay, no, let's go over here. All right, licenses. Now this is the important thing that I want to tell people. You're not actually buying a game. And why? Steam and your subscriptions require the download and installation of content and services onto your computer. Valve hereby grants and you accept a non-exclusive license and right to use the content and services for your personal non-commercial use, except where commercial use is expressly allowed herein or in the applicable subscription terms. So yeah, with just this sentence, content and services, again, if you recall, includes video games. So they're just telling you, right, when you buy a game, when you pay for a game in Steam, you're not getting ownership, legal ownership of the game. You're just getting a license of the game. You're just getting permission to download the game and play it. Are we clear? Are we crystal clear on this? It means that, right? It means that Valve can at any time revoke this license. Okay, they can stop you. Okay, they can revoke this license, withdraw this license. They can tell you, nope, you can't play this game anymore. We're getting back the game. We're how do you say, absconding or confiscating your license or something like that. Because you do not really own the game at all. You do not own a physical copy. Even then, even if you own a physical copy, you might put it as you only have the license to play it. But that is much difficult to enforce. But over here, right, because it's a digital product, right, that they are providing you, they are giving you access to. So, and because you only can play these games by starting it from their services, right? And that's how they control. And that's how they control this quote unquote license, right? So do take note of that, right? If in the event, you cry foul, as in, why suddenly this game or some specific game or several games says stop being playable, right? It has happened several times in the past. I'm not sure on Steam, probably on Steam as well. But it also happened in, I believe, PS. Yeah, PlayStation. I believe that it has happened in PlayStation as well, where certain products has been retracted from their services, right? For various reasons. One of it could be that, you know, Steam isn't exactly the owner of these games, right? That's why they are only granting license. They are only providing a platform for these games to be used, to be played on. So if that in event, like game developers themselves don't want a game to be on this specific platform, they can say, yeah, I don't want it to be on this platform, please remove it. Valve probably has to remove it depending on the terms and conditions. And once they remove it, you think, you know, you get a refund. You might get a refund. That is a might, right? You might. But since it's a license, right? You're legally speaking, the thing that you're paying is not ownership of a product. You're only paying the license for an indefinite period of time to play the game. So them not letting you play the game, right? Retracting the license, you think that you can get a refund from it. Nope, you can't. You can't, because your payment of the game is just for indefinite time for them allowing you to play the game, not for you to play the game forever and ever. But you know, this might, why am I saying might, is because maybe this will violate some sort of like consumer rights, right? Might violate some sort of consumer rights. But this is like there's something I would say a bit more complex. I probably have to research on this much more. But suffice to say, if we were to argue whether you can get a refund or whether they can do that or not, whether you can sue them for damages or losses, that's another thing. That's a different story, right? But anyhow, let's continue reading what it's all about, because all I said is probably going to be explained further in the rest of this clause. This license ends upon, right? So yeah, they tell you that this license can end. It's not forever. This license ends upon termination of A, this agreement, or B, a subscription that includes the license. The content and services are licensed, not sold. Yeah, your license confers no title or ownership in the content and services. So they say it explicitly, all right? They tell you explicitly that you don't own the ownership. You don't own the game. To make use of the content and services, you must have a Steam account, and you may be required to be running the Steam client, maintaining a connection to the internet. So yeah, pretty much what I just said. For reasons that include, without limitation, system security, stability, and multiplayer interoperability, Valve may need to automatically update, preload, create new versions of otherwise enhance the content and services, and accordingly, the system requirements to use the content and services may change over time. Right. Your consent to such automatic updating. You consent to such automatic updating. You understand that this agreement, including applicable subscription terms, does not entitle you to future updates unless to the extent required by applicable law. New versions of other enhancements of the content and services associated with a particular subscription, although Valve may choose to provide such updates in its sole discretion. So if a game gets Basically, they're telling you if a game gets an update or a DLC or whatever, you know, they're just telling you you may or may not get it. It's not a guarantee, right? Even if you buy the game, you've bought the game, they are telling you future updates is not part of it. It's not inclusive of it. Or, you know, again, they also kind of tells you that if it becomes unavailable for you to play as well. All right, let's do. Okay, next one. Beta software license. I think this is a little less relevant to us. Valve may, from time to time, make software accessible to you via Steam prior to the general commercial release of its software. Beta software. So this could be what Steam calls early access. You are not required to use beta software, but if Valve offers it, you may elect to use it under the following terms. Beta software will be deemed to consist of content and services, and each item of beta software provided will be deemed a subscription for such beta software, with the following provisions specific to beta software. Man, they keep using the word beta software. And they could put an acronym it as BS, you know, bullshit. You're right to use the beta software. It kinda is, right? Some early access games are just bullshit. Right, personal opinion only, alright? Some early access games are still very good, you know, like 7 Days to Die, Ready or Not is a early access game, still an early access game. Your right to use the beta software may be limited in time, may be subject to additional subscription terms. Valve or any Valve affiliate may request or require that you provide suggestions, feedback, or data regarding your use of the beta software, which will be deemed to user generated under. Okay, I think this is pretty much. We don't have to like read through all this stuff, right? This is just telling you, yeah, like alpha status games can still be bought. They're still considered content and services for you to, you know, pay for them. Yeah, license to use Valve's developer tools. This is not really relevant for us normies. License to use Valve game content in fan art. Oh, this is something interesting we can read through. Valve appreciates the community of subscribers that creates fan art, fan fiction, and audio-visual works that reference Valve games. Fan art. So Valve games specifically only, nothing else. So I'm guessing Team Fortress 2, Portal, Half-Life. What else is Valve games? I have no idea. Valve don't make a lot of games. Gmod, I would say this. Oh, that's under Half-Life. But anyhow, you may incorporate content from Valve games into your fan art, except as otherwise set forth in this section or in any subscription terms. You may use, reproduce, publish, perform, display, and distribute fan art that incorporates content from Valve games however you wish, but solely on a non-commercial basis. Yeah, if you incorporate any third-party content in any fan art, you must be sure to obtain all necessary rights from the owner of that content. Commercial use of some Valve game content is permitted via features such as Steam Workshop or Steam Subscription Marketplace. Terms applicable to that use are set forth in Section 3.D and 6.B. Below, any subscription terms provided about those features. We'll even again say good night because Civ 6 causes insomnia. Hey Aiden! So it's on topic where Epic pulls some old games. Yes, I would say so. You can, I would say, from my understanding, all game platforms are all game platforms, game service platforms, such as Steam, Epic game stores, PlayStation, Xbox as well, and I think GOG. All those places where you can get games most likely have this sort of terms and conditions where, which I just talked about actually, is you only get a license to play the game. You don't get a legal ownership to the game that you bought, right? I would say this is, I'm not so certain if this is the same or not the same in the past, where digital games is not a thing, where you can only buy games. You can only buy games through a physical store, and they are usually in like CDs. From my time, it was CDs, then it was DVDs, and then Blu-ray. Right now there's still Blu-ray, of course, but I'm not sure if the things that you bought is considered ownership or not. Most likely, because for those kind of products, it's not connected to the internet in any way, and there's no way for them to update the game, no way for them to stop you from playing the game, even if they put in such a terms and conditions, right? Like they're just telling you only get a license to play the game. Most likely, I feel like it's a possibility that they would put it just in case, just in case people want to use it for game development or something, for their own console development or something like that. That's why they put it in. But in terms of enforcement of this terms and conditions, it's very, very likely that is enforced now rather than in the past. Like you said, yes, if it's a physical hobby that's not connected to the internet, you technically own the game plus license. Yeah, you technically own the local data stored in that CD or whatever format it is stored in. I would say only a technical perspective. Legally speaking, no. It's like you can imagine this. It's like imagine back in the days when a friend when you play games with a friend, right? Your friend would have the game, you play with them, but maybe your friend is a good person, they would like lend it to you, right? You can borrow the game from them to play it. Yes, technically you have the physical game, right? But it doesn't mean you own the game, right? That game is still is your friend's. So in a way, this is what it's like, right? Buying a game. I have to look into this, but maybe I'm correct, maybe I'm not correct. But in the past, right, games are sold in this way as well. You're not actually buying ownership of the game. You're just buying the license to play the game. But the problem with enforcing this is, I don't think back in the days, store owners or the suppliers to the store owners are going to like take legal actions and actually go and confiscate your game, your CD or whatever, stop you from playing it because you violate some sort of terms and conditions, right? Because what I understand, if you own the physical copy, you can do whatever you want with it, lend it, sell it, or whatnot. Gaming industry is a bunch of gray area law. Now Epic got sued for $500 million because of Fortnite. Fortnite is getting sued for privacy thing as well as child exploitation for some reason. I think so. I think that's the problem. Privacy law breaches, I think. They breach some sort of like law on that. But you probably know this, other than, talking about physical copy, you probably know that, consoles or actually some games were developed in that way. where people illegally took games or took consoles even to make things, to homebrew things for themselves. So that's a possibility why there's such a terms and conditions that originated from that, right? Where how do you say? Piracy was rampant. Piracy was a different kind of breed in the past. Hey, Diabear! Oh yeah, but today is my last work day before holiday, so Sabaton, I come. See you later. Alright. Sabaton's tomorrow, though, not today, okay? It's tomorrow. But yeah, back in the days, other than, the games getting illegally used for development or something like that, or like trying to what you call jailbreak them or something like that. Huge war between homebrew and piracy community back in the days. It's such a mess. So yeah, in the past, that's why game publishers put in sort of like a terms of service. But I have to check, all right? I have to check. I'm not sure. Is it the same now as it in the past in terms of what the terms and conditions for these games when you buy them? Because they do definitely in the past in their packaging, at least, right? They will have like a small booklet kind of thing where they have terms and conditions. I like Homebrew because I can use some program that I want to use. It's only available at Homebrew. I want to watch YouTube on my Vita. Thank you. Yeah. So that's something I have to look into, but it might have this sort of like you only get a license by buying a game. Might have originated from that. But because in the past it's very difficult to, control anyone from control the final consumer, the final product consumer in such a way as compared to now. Like you don't see game publishers going to people's home and confiscating their games. You only see them confiscating from physical stores that do illegal stuff. Either it's piracy or selling them at a cheaper price because of piracy and such. If this is the case, there is no difference between Steam GOG. Yeah, GOG provides games in a different way, right? But I'll have to look into the terms and conditions for GOG as well, right? Because as far as I understand, you don't have to have a internet connection or whatever to get the game, because the game will be they let you download the entire game for you to use without an internet connection or something like that, or play the game without internet connection. You don't have to go to their platform to play the game, I think. Well, that's a good question. If the console is already out of service, are you allowed to mod your console to extend the life of the console? Out of service? Well, how do you mean? You own the console, but there's no internet, there's no official service for it? For you to access the games or something like that? Is there such a thing? Like, how Vita and 3DS is no longer supported by Sony and Nintendo? Yeah, so you're talking about like their online services where they might provide some sort of like updates or some sort of like a multiplayer service or something like that. I think that's illegal, but I think it's illegal in the sense that tampering with the console, because I believe all consoles that you bought have a terms and conditions says you can't tamper with the console in any way that you want, right? Whether it's to extend its lifespan on certain services and such. Maybe you want to create your own private server for things to work. It's something you definitely have to look into. I'll have to look into the terms of service. But my first gut feeling is that they definitely have something that covers it, right? Something that broad that covers it to say, all modifications, all tampering, all alterations of the console is not allowed when you bought the console. But yeah, for GOG, people like it because you technically get the game, and you won't get bothered by, or you don't have the requirement to access the internet or anything, and in turn they won't GOG won't be able to stop you from playing the game, right? That's it. It doesn't mean you own, again, if they have the same terms and conditions in Steam, it doesn't mean you own the game. It just means that they are less likely to enforce their terms and conditions on the end consumer. Yes, I think that's a word, end consumer. That makes sense. Basically, you need the blessing from the company, like how Steam allows users to do whatever they want with the Steam Deck. Yes. It's like the thing which is more common now, rather than tampering or modifying a console, is trying to reverse engineer codes, programmings of a software or something. That's much more common, I think, nowadays. But yeah, back to this one. We were talking about fan art. So I'm not sure how many games Valve have fan arts, but apparently in here they tell you, yep, you can make fan art, but only if you don't do it for commercial purposes. That's the gist of it, right? That's the gist of it. But Valve have how many games? 3 games? Like 3 main franchises series, but not a lot. And yeah, good for them to say that. But then again, how I say this? I would say, yeah. After reading this, the question would be: does it mean you legally speaking, you have the copyright? You have the license, copyright license to do fan art, because they don't use the word license in any way. They just tell you, of course, the terms that they use can be implied that they are giving you a license under their copyrights. Over here, as in they say, you may use, reproduce, publish, perform, or display and distribute fan art. So it's a yes or no, but much better than the ones that's like quote unquote guidelines, right? A lot of times when these companies like put up to say whether you can do fan art, they can do something inspired by whatever product content that they are selling. It's most times not inside terms of service. Compared to this one is inside terms of service. So it's somewhat legally binding on Valve to make sure this is to make sure this license is legit. Valve game for fan art. I guess like Half-Life and Portal would come to mind. Yeah, this Half-Life, Portal, Team Fortress, but Team Fortress is like a mod from Half-Life. If we talk about mods, Gmod is a thing as well, and all those variations. But anyhow, interesting to read. Moving on, license to use. Valve dedicates the server software. It's not something I want to go through, but it's basically, yeah, they're telling you you can use Valve dedicated server software. I'm guessing this is more of a, maybe those Team Fortress kind of games. They have their multiplayer server or something. Ownership of content and services. All title ownership rights and intellectual property rights in and to the content and services and any and all copies thereof are owned by Valve and its affiliates licenses. Is this a typo? Valve and its. I feel like this is a typo. They have a typo in their TOS. All rights are reserved. Oh, there's no sound. I have no idea why though. Hello, Doctor. Welcome to the stream again. That gives me an idea to research if there's any legal binding for Hoyoverse fan arts. There is actually a document from Hoyoverse in regards to fan arts and how you can use them. I believe, I think I've read it before. But again, it's not a TOS. As far as I can tell, it's not legally binding. It's just a guideline where a lot of things are just a guideline. Another example is Hololive, right? I think it was Hololive. Hololive have their own document guideline talking about whether you can make fan arts or do compilations, because there's a very common thing that the Hololive community does. Like it's putting a compilation of clips from all the streams. So it's something they addressed, and what's the weird emotes? What's the weird wiggling emotes? I read Hololive fan art and cover guideline. Pretty straightforward, honestly. But again, it's a guideline, right? It's not legally binding, in the sense that if in the event these companies go after you, they can say that's just a guideline, right? Because they also put in the term to say they can take legal actions against you for whatever reason, right? At the end, there's going to be a sentence there inside in these guidelines to make sure they can still do things, right? Whether or not there is some legal implications in what they say in these sort of like guidelines. They always cover ass, and I understand, right? They always say certain things like that. So yeah, don't take things. A lot of companies say they are like fine with you doing things as a fan, but if of course even if they mention do it but not for any commercial use, fine. But if they somehow like mention you can do for commercial use, like for profit, it's still something you have to be wary of, because they are not legally binding. They could still go after you and still take back their word to say, no, it's just a guideline, it's not legally binding, we can still take legal actions against you for whatever reason. So in any case, this sentence over here, right, is just talking about, yes, you own the game, right? You own the game, you have the right to play the game, all that. You don't exactly own the visuals of the game. You don't exactly own any developmental or assets or any of the game assets or artwork or audio, anything that is providing you the experience of the game, right? I don't think this is something that has to be said, but it might be common sense. Like, imagine a movie having this term and condition. Like, you bought a movie and then the terms and conditions of the movie is telling you, you don't own the actors, the celebrities, or the special effects or whatever provided in the movie. true company need to do some damage control if there's something too spicy out there. Wouldn't they then be under Creative Commons license then? They are not giving a license. They are not telling you they are giving a license. Is what I'm trying to say. They don't use the word license. They don't use the word they grant you a license to do whatever, blah, blah, blah. They are just providing a guidance to like tell you, yes, you can do this. As long as you do this, we won't take legal actions against you. But they always, at the end of the sentence, they say, we will take legal actions against you for whatever reason. Right? The thing is where people might mistake is that like get confused or get misled is the language when these companies use. They would purposely avoid using any words that would indicate that they are giving you a license. They're only just providing you a guidance so that they won't sue you. They're not providing you guidance so that this is what is the license that they are providing. They are giving everyone that wants to do this, right? If they did, they will have specific terms and conditions to say that yes, they are giving you a license. Like over here, where we are talking about licenses, right? Valve, you see, there's a difference between the fan art and then this one when Valve is selling you a game. Well, quote unquote, selling you a game. Valve says here, hereby grants and you accept a non-exclusive license and right to use the content and services for your personal non-commercial use. So one thing is, this is an agreement. This is a legal document that is legally binding. Two, this Valve, the language Valve use here is it's commonly used in a lot of like copyright agreements and such, or anything that involves copyright infringement or the laws. Is something that's commonly used in that field, as opposed to this one, right? As opposed to the fan art. Where is it? Where is the fan? Over here. There's nothing like that. They don't tell you you have the exclusive right, blah blah blah, to do fan art, right? Valve just says here, Valve appreciates that you create a fan art, fan fiction, blah 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 blah. You may incorporate blah 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 blah. So the only thing that might be possibly can be considered that they are giving you a license is this wording here, right? Where they say use, reproduce, publish, perform, and display and distribute fan art. So could fan art in sense be considered let's play? No, fan art is not considered let's plays. Right? Creates fan art, fan fiction, and audio visual works that reference Valve games. Right? How you have to argue what is considered if we are talking about let's plays, right? Maybe under this one, right? Audio visual works. But what is fan art, right? Or create no. As you can see, fan art is not just fan art. Fan art is fan art, fan fiction, and audio visual works. So you can create audio visual works. But what is audio visual works? Is it the game itself? Or you're making audio visual work through your own assets and such? I mean, I understand that at least for Valve, they have a what you call SFM, source film something, source film movie, or I don't know, motion picture. They have their own animating tools for you to make audio visual works. So maybe that's what they are referring to. But does this include video game footage or not? This is very not very clear. I think that would be video policy or game gameplay guideline from what I read from different games. Yeah, they would have a specific thing. They won't put it in as fan art. Let's plays aren't considered fan art. Anyhow, let's move on. The restrictions on use of content and services. You may not use the content and services for any purpose other than the permitted access. And to make personal... Wait, you may not use content services for any purpose other than the permitted access. Okay, what is not permitted? I have no idea. You may... Okay, they did say things like that. Okay, they did say, yeah, you can play the game, but you can't do this. So you can't do copy, photocopy, reproduce, publish, distribute, translate, reverse engineer, derive source code from, modify, disassemble, decompile, create derivative works based on, or remove any proprietary notices or labels from the content and services or any software accessed via Steam without the prior consent in writing or Valve. So yeah, apparently you can't, right? So I would say this is where the Let's Play comes in. You technically can't do Let's Plays with games, all right? Because this would include things like reproducing it or publishing it. Or even, you know, to the extent of creating derivative works. My Karimi is here, BRB. Alright. Have a good Karimi, alright? Okay then. You are entitled to use the content and services for your own personal use. But you are not entitled to sell, grant security interests in, or transfer reproductions of the content and services to other parties in any way, nor to rent, lease, or license the content and services to others without the prior written consent of Valve. I thought it'd be under a fan art using game assets of the game itself. That's the thing. I would say, are you, you know, that's a valid interpretation to look at from, right? Technically, a Let's Play is you using is showing the game itself and the game's assets and such. But my interpretation of it is that in the fan art terms and conditions, they say create visual audios, right? A Let's Play is a visual audio thing. It's a video format. It's in a video you probably do it in a Twitch. You do a stream on Twitch. You probably upload a video on YouTube. So it's entirely audio-visual. But then they have the words create. So I would argue, are you creating something when you're doing a Let's Play? Or you're just reproducing what is inside the game, already inside the game. You're showing what is already inside the game, right? That's something I would say I would have to argue on, is that they use the word create, right? Create audio-visual works. How much of it is your own creation, or is literally just you playing a game? But yeah, let's continue. What else is not, you can't do except hosts or provide matchmaking services for the content services, or emulate or redirect communication protocols used by Valve in a network feature of the content services through protocol emulation, tunneling, modifying or adding components to the content services, use of a utility program, or any other techniques now known or that hereafter developed for any purpose, including but not limited to network play over the internet, network play utilizing commercial or non-commercial gaming networks, or as part of content aggregation networks, websites and services without the prior consent or Valve, or exploit the content and services or any of its plots for any commercial purpose except as expressly permitted elsewhere in this agreement. So, well, that's a mouthful, but as far as I can tell, this is where the Let's Plays comes in, right? As well as other things, like you can't sell them, you can't modify them, you can't tamper with it, you can't add things to it even, unless it is all through Steam services. So mods itself are fine as long as the mods are being done through the Steam services, like Steam Workshop, right? So interestingly, this includes multiplayer feature mods. So if a game doesn't have a multiplayer feature, like a local area network, is that what you call LAN network? If you don't have a LAN service and you try to do something like add a modification so that it does have LAN capabilities, apparently you can't do that. You can't do that for Steam games. You can't try to bypass this the requirement for internet connection or for certain services, which I'm assuming commonly would be multiplayer features in a game, like creating your own private server and something like that without going through Steam. Alright, let's move on. Billing, payment, and other subscriptions. Yeah, this one I don't think I really need to talk about. They're just payment authorization. These are just how payment is done and all that. Unless someone has specific questions on this, I'll be skipping this part. Very technical stuff. Steam Wallet, trading and transactions of subscriptions between subscribers, retail purchase. So apparently Valve may offer or require a subscription for purchases of retail packaged product versions or OEM versions of Valve products. So I think they are talking about like in the past where Half-Life or Team Fortress were provided in discs formats. So this is what they're calling, they're referring to, retail purchase. That would have like CD keys or product keys. Man, that was a time. Steam authorized resellers. Okay. Not really relevant. Free subscriptions. So certain games might be free, but as far as I know, Steam is really stingy with their games, and most of the time it's like they are free during the weekend, or every once few months there will be a free game, unlike Epic Game Stores. But yeah, so third-party sites, third-party sites. Okay, not really what we want to. I think that's pretty much what I want to talk about in terms of this agreement. Refunds and rights of withdrawal, online conduct, and cheating, and process tampering. Your online conduct and interaction with other subscribers must comply with Steam online conduct rules. So yeah, the community guidelines. Yeah, they're talking about cheats. They don't allow cheats in game. In any game, I think. Yeah. Steam and Mixed functionality designed to identify software or hardware processes or functionality that may give a player an unfair competitive advantage when playing multiplayer versions. Alright, so only for multiplayer. Wait, playing multiplayer versions of any content services or modifications of content and services. Cheats. You agree that you will not create cheats or assist third parties in any way to create or use cheats. You agree that you will not directly or indirectly disable, circumvent, or otherwise interfere with the operation of software designed to prevent or report the use of cheats. And then what is this? Not tamper with the execution of Steam or content services authorized by Valve. Refuse to allow you to participate in certain online multiplayer games if you cheats or tamper with the execution or Steam or content service. Yeah, this is more of like, I think like piracy bypassing the game or something like that. Further, and acknowledge and agree that the external host may report you of cheats and unauthorized process tampering to Valve. Valve may restrict or terminate your account or a particular subscription for any conduct. Activity that is illegal or constitutes a cheat or breaches the Steam online conduct rules. You acknowledge that Valve is not required to provide you notice before terminating. Blah blah blah. Okay, this is just about cheats. Third-party content. Valve does not screen such third-party content available on Steam or through other sources. Valve assumes no responsibility or liability for such third-party content unless the extent provided by mandatory law. Some third-party application software is capable of being used by businesses or for business purposes. However, you may only acquire such software via Steam for private personal use. Well, I think that this term is just basically them telling you, you know, Valve is just a platform for providing games made by third-party game developers, so you can't confirm anything that is inside such games, or whether they are like in breach of certain laws or what. I think this is just them protecting themselves. User-generated content. So this is apparently this is all the workshop thing and the, you know, images and such. Ooh, there's a huge chunk of it, but I don't think it's that relevant. This is Steam's platform in any case, and I'm not too familiar with it, but as far I can tell, user-generated content it's basically every game page has a community page as well, and within the community page there is a place for you to upload videos and images as well. I'm not so certain, but also mods for a game. So this is in concern with all that stuff. Anything people should be worrying about? I don't think so. Right. But then, you know, they, of course, whatever you do upload to Valve, whatever content you do upload to Valve, here it says you grant Valve and its affiliates the worldwide non-exclusive right to use, reproduce, modify, create derivative works from, distribute, transmit, transcode, translate, broadcast, and otherwise communicate and publicly display and publicly perform your user-generated content and derivative works of your user-generated content for the purpose of the operation, distribution, incorporation as part of and promotion of the Steam service. So yeah, whatever you put up on Steam, it's considered to have Valve would consider that to have given the license to do whatever they want with it. If people, you know, if you don't like it, well, to let you know, Twitter also has this. Twitter also has these terms and conditions. Whatever you upload on Twitter, Twitter also has the license or blah blah blah, all that. It's roughly the same way it has been worded as well over there. A lot of like these platforms where there's a community interaction in it, and there's a place for people to upload their own stuff. There's always these terms and conditions. Part of it is, you could look at it as, yeah, it's bad because they can exploit or like use your content without even like compensating you for. On the other hand, it's because they have to regulate the content that you put up in their services. Maybe it's violating some laws or violating some sort of like community guidelines or rules in their website. They have to have this license to do anything about it. So it's a double-edged thing, right? To be posting anything on social media. I would say this is considered social media as well, although not as, accessible by the public. Right, so I think I don't have to really explain all this stuff. Yeah, so whatever you upload on Steam is considered free. Considered free as well. Notwithstanding in our country, contrary terms provided in app-specific terms as defined. Content uploaded to the Steam Workshop. Yeah, Steam Workshop stuff. Yeah, they talk about this. I don't think there's anything really need to emphasize on, unless people have questions about it. And I don't think there's any problems, issues arriving from mods in a game, other than the obvious things like you can't upload mods that are in violations of laws, in violation of rules. Again, I think that's something that's pretty common sense. Promotions and endorsements. If you use Steam services to promote or endorse a product, service, or event in return for any kind of consideration from a third party, you must clearly indicate the source of such consideration to your audience. Okay. Alright, so we are... Yeah, it's not that long, although it's like really lengthy. A lot of it is just technical details, and the main gist of it they have already put up there concerning the licenses and such. When you're not actually buying a game, you're just buying a license. So down over here, everything here, it's I can explain very briefly, but you can find all this here in all other contracts as well, all other terms of service. That the basic standard thing that you have to like put in a document. So we have representations and warranties. This is basically telling you whatever they say or do outside of this agreement is not to be considered as part of the agreement. It's not legally binding. Whatever is inside this agreement is only what you have to look at, and is only what you have to follow, as well as the other documents that this agreement has referenced, like the rules, the refund policy, privacy policy, and all that stuff. Right? Yeah, this also extends to us. You represent and warrant to us that you have sufficient rights in, or blah blah blah. They're telling us, oh, so this is not the Valve talking about Valve themselves. They're talking about us, the subscribers. They are telling us whatever we put in, whatever we told Valve, whatever we told provided in Valve, we have the rights, we have the ownership, we have the we do not violate any laws and such. Pretty much pretty standard. And we have the disclaimer, limitation of liabilities, no guarantees, limited warranty and or agreement. So this is the part where, you know, they put in like, they capitalize the sentences, they capitalize the paragraphs. I don't know why. It's like a common thing, I guess, in common thing that is done in the United States, where they all these like standard terms and conditions, they have to like capitalize it for some reason. I don't think it's a legal thing they have to do. It's a legal mandatory thing they have to do. But yeah, all this this entire section, right? Not entire, this entire part of this agreement is just telling you they are not responsible. Okay, they are not liable for whatever they say, whatever they do or don't do, whether they might be negligent, whether they will cause you any loss, damage, injury, all that stuff. This is where they put it in, and they are saying whatever you are suffering, if let's say they are getting sued, if the company involved is getting sued by someone else, and it's because of you, they are going to put all the costs, all the damages on you, blah blah blah, all that. Think of all the bad stuff a company wants to do is, you know, just wants to avoid liability. This is where all this is, right? And again, I would tell people this is not a guarantee thing. It doesn't when a terms and conditions says this, it doesn't mean that yes, they are like free from anything, that they don't have to compensate you anything, blah blah blah. This is more of a depends on the laws, depends on the United States. But I would say most of the terms and conditions down here is most likely not going to be legally enforceable, right? All this stuff, blah 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 blah, all this. And then of course, you know, they have amendments to this agreement. They are telling you they can amend this agreement anytime as they want. This agreement may anytime be mutually amended by your explicit consent to changes proposed by Valve. So this is like depending on different countries. Certain European countries, certain countries would not actually allow this by law. But, you know, you always heard that, you know, it's as long as the they don't need to, if they want to change terms and conditions in the agreement, they don't need you to agree to it. You can just amend it as they like. But I think because of certain laws in certain countries, they have to say things like, you know, maybe have to like get actual consent, get actual permission from the subscribers themselves, or they have to follow through some sort of like a procedure. Maybe they have to like give notice to people that they are changing their terms and conditions, right? All this stuff. Then termination tells you when you can terminate, when they can terminate. But termination, I don't think you can get back any money at all. We're not entitled you to any refund, including of any subscription fees. Valve reserves the right to collect fees, subject to surcharges, or costs incurred prior to the cancellation of your account or termination of your access to a particular subscription. In addition, you are responsible for any charges incurred to third-party vendors or content providers before your cancellation. Termination by Valve. Yes, Valve can terminate anytime they want. I think that is what is anytime in the event that Valve ceases providing subscriptions to similarly situated subscribers generally. B. You breach any terms of this agreement. In the event that your account or particular is restricted or terminated, no refund, including of any subscription fees of any unused funds in your Steam wallet, will be granted. Yeah, so basically whatever money you spent in Steam, yeah, you're not gonna get it back. Yeah, applicable. Yeah, and then this entire here section is talking about how if things are going south, if we are like either party is going to sue each other, this is what you should be doing. All the procedures, what you can do, where what the law that is supposed to, what the specific country's law that needs to be looked at when we are looking at what sort of things have been breached. Man, it's raining heavily. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully people still can hear me clearly. Maybe there's a lot of noises. Apologies for that. But yeah, all the rest of this is pretty standard, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we're actually done with subscriber agreement. Although you can say that I'm just skimming through this, but for my purposes, the only thing I need to talk about was the license, right? But yeah, I'll go in. My bottle is like going to be emptied, so I'm going to refill and come back in a bit and talk about something else for a short while. Then I think I'll end the stream afterwards. So BRB, like 5 minutes, all right? I'll be back very quickly. In the meantime, if anyone has questions, feel free to post up them, okay?